Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and notifications button for all the good stuff we've got coming.
Oh, let's see. Well, two score and a couple years, I came upon the shores of the Rep, which is probably around 1979. Um, I auditioned for at the time, Free Actors Workshop, and I'd like to do a rendition of my audition piece, if you don't mind. It kind of went like this. It was that much fear, I'm telling you. Uh, um, and then the first show I did was A Touch of the Poet, which Cornell was in, of course. And what I remember about that show was being backstage with Cornell. And we had to be back there for like a couple acts at a time. And all kinds of things happened. But what I remember was finger theater because we were back there and we couldn't talk. So all we could do was create these scenes or these plays with our fingers. And we there's like two or three of us back there, and we all would just create these little vignettes with our fingers while we were waiting to go on. I believe I helped Bruce with a play called Bar Talk as Dog as assistant director. I think that's what it's called. And then went on to do Carpool. Anyway, the thing about Carpool was I thought was so amazing is that one of the actors, one of the leads, got in an auto accident, and we were 2 weeks away from going on stage, and Boz jumped in like 2 weeks before and
Yep.
went out and did a bang up job on the
Yep.
show. It was amazing. Um, Now, Council Cargill, who I'm thinking of, yeah, the late great Council Cargill, had a chance to be on stage with that man. It was amazing. Moving on to another show I did was, well, I'm thinking of course, Bullpen. Um, that was great because Bruce actually had us do spring training during rehearsal. And somebody like myself who loved baseball, I really gravitated towards that show and I just loved it to death. And a couple things happened in that show. One of them was talking about Sunday audiences. Roosevelt Johnson had a line in that show, and we were in front of the church crowd. He came out downstage right, put his foot right up on a chair or something, and yelled out to the crowd, "The Yankees deck donkey." Well, within minutes, half that crowd just flew, just went down the aisle and got right out of there. I think we had half a crowd left. And
Yeah.
then, I mean, it was such like a locker room there, and we had a little thing down in the basement there too, around the green room. Um, we had an actor who put his hands in the water vase, or water jug, and another
Clyde
actor goes,
Harper.
"Get your hands out of that water!" So,
Clyde
so
Harper it was.
Bullpen was just a crazy show, and the workshop made a big difference to me as well. I remember getting instead of an hour lunch at the grocery store I worked at, the manager allowed me to have a half-hour lunch. So I was a half an hour late because I did the workshop. And back then they were a little tougher about people coming into the workshop. And the way it went was this: A, you couldn't be late. If you were late, you were out. Okay, right away. If you missed a day, as long as you died, that was okay. They could understand that you had died and therefore you couldn't make it to the workshop that day. So that was fine. So, I mean, they were pretty strict about it. But at 19 years old at the time, um, that was the only thing that was getting through my rock head, I think, as far as discipline a little bit. I mean, I was a good kid. I had a job and everything else, but they were just, okay, 9 o'clock, be here. We expect you to be here. We're going to work hard. And they would work you pretty good. And you're just going into that garage. And then the day that Boswell threw To Be or Not to Be at me from Hamlet out of nowhere, because I had some scene partners who had quit the workshop, and I was out without any scene partners. And he said, well, guess what? Why don't you go do this, To Be or Not to Be? And we put it together, and it was incredible. I had a great time and still continue to enjoy the rep. Came back after a few years or so and did Harmony Park, which it turns out, for, as always, the rep is ahead of the game. And what a prescient show that was when you look at what's happened in the last year or two. I mean, it's just amazing how forward-running it is. And that's the thing about the rep. The rep has always been ahead of the curve. The people that see Bridgerton now, and they see the diverse casting they have on there, the rep was doing that, 40, 50, 60 years ago. And there's never been a challenge too big, a challenge too small for the actors or for the theater itself. And I think the challenge we have now is just another flesh wound for Bruce and for Barb and for Leah and for anybody else that has graced the stage of the rep. And so I'm sure we're going to be heading for even better times.